For today's experiential exercise, we're going to look at how Mind 1.0, this program running in the left side of our brain, that's the voice in the head, it was a great problem solver for our ancestors, but today it ends up creating more problems than it solves. And we're going to look at how poor it is at dealing with large numbers. And there's a great reason for this, because when it evolved tens of thousands of years ago, humans were generally in very small groups, maybe 100 to 150. So Mind 1.0 never really had to deal with big numbers. And when it's given big numbers, like 1,000, 10,000, it really doesn't know what to do with them. So I'm going to give you the scenario. And again, like these other exercises, you just have to sit back and watch it work. So you don't have to do anything. You're just the awareness of watching this program come up with the wrong answer. Then I'll explain what the correct answer is. So you're a medical doctor. And again, this was given to Harvard medical students. So there's real world implications here, real world consequences for these types of errors. And so you're a doctor or a nurse, and your patient just tested positive for a disease, and you have to go in and tell them what the genuine probability is that they really have it. So this disease is pretty rare, so it only happens 1 in 1,000 people. Also, no test is perfect. So this test that you gave your patient has a 5% false positive. And what that means is 5% of the time the test is going to be wrong. It's going to say that the person has a disease when they in fact do not. Okay, so you just tested your patient. They come back positive. You walk in a room and you say, here's the probability you really have this disease. What did Mind 1.0 come up with? I mean, if it's wrong 5% of the time, it must be right 95% of the time. And I'm going to guess with a high degree of certainty that 95 was what just popped into your head. And again, it doesn't pop into mind, it pops out from mind. Mind is the one giving the answer here. So you walk in and you say, look, there's a 95% chance you have this disease. Well, let's walk through the numbers here. And the thing you probably missed is that 1 in 1,000. See, that 1 in 1,000, it's way too big for the mind to deal with, so it just ignores it. But that's the base rate. And in fact, this problem is called the base rate fallacy because the mind ignores those big numbers. What the mind did work with is what it can. It was geared towards these smaller numbers, so the mind can deal with 95 and 5%. So that it worked with what it is good at. And so it did the 95, forgot about the 1 in 1,000. But you need to put the 1 in 1,000 in there. So let's walk through the scenario. Okay, let's give the test to 1,000 people. Well, 1 in 1,000 is actually going to test positive because 1 in 1,000 actually has the disease. But if you give the test to 1,000, 5% are going to also test positive, so 50 are going to test positive just because of the error rate in the test. So really, if you gave it to 1,000 people, 51 people are going to test positive, but only 1 has it. So the real statistic here is when you walk into that office and you tell your patient, you say, there's a 2% chance you have this disease. 2% because the real statistic is 1 in 51. And if you get your phone out and do that, it'll be about 2%. So the real statistic here is 2%, not 95%. And so again, you get to sit back, you get to watch Mind 1.0 at work. And in this case, it gives the wrong answer because we are living in a world that is so different than Mind 1.0. And so many of the problems that we come up are problems that this old program is creating. And so not only is it not you, the problems that it is creating are not your problems.